Good afternoon. Thank you very much for joining us today. My name is Mark Halliday. I'm the Vice President of Marketing and Communications for Hockey Canada. Bonjour, je m'appelle Mark Halliday. Je suis le Vice-Président du Marketing et Communication chez Hockey Canada. On behalf of my colleagues, our Board of Directors, the 750,000 members of Hockey Canada from coast to coast to coast, thank you for joining us here today as we announce the athletes nominated to represent Canada on the Olympic hockey team at Pyeongchang 2018. Merci de vous joindre à nous ici aujourd'hui pour l'annonce des athlètes nommés à l'équipe nationale masculine du Canada en vue des Jeux olympiques d'hiver 2018 Pyeongchang en Corée du Sud. I'll take a moment to introduce our participants today. Hockey Canada Chief Executive Officer, Chef de la Direction de Hockey Canada, Tom Rennie. Canadian Olympic Committee Chief Executive Officer and Secretary General, Chef de Direction et Secrétaire Général du Comité Olympique Canadien, Chris Overholt. Hockey Canada President and Chief Operating Officer, Président et Chef de l'Exploitation de Hockey Canada, Scott Smith. Hockey Canada Vice President of Hockey Operations and National Teams, Vice-Président des activités hockey et des équipes nationales, Scott Salmon. General Manager for Canada's National Men's Team, Directeur général de l'équipe nationale masculine du Canada, Sean Burke. Pyeongchang 2018 Team Canada chef de mission, l'équipe Canada, Pyeongchang 2018, Isabelle Charette. And the head coach of Canada's national men's team, l'entraîneur-chef de l'équipe nationale masculine du Canada, Willie Desjardins. Tom, I'll now invite you to say a few words.
Thank you, Mark. I appreciate that. Merci beaucoup. On behalf of everyone here, thank you for attending. On behalf of our Chairman of the Board, Joe Drago, it's a great day for us naturally, and I know that Joe would like nothing more than to be here with us, but he is. Nonetheless, he's one of those guys that has a way to permeate every single room, even when he's not in it. I would like to acknowledge Chris Overholt for being here. Thank you so much, Chris, for your guidance and leadership and support through this process. Huge for us, as you can appreciate, and we will do everything we can to help represent the sport of hockey, certainly, but more importantly, COC and the citizens of Canada across the country. Isabelle, as well, thank you so much for your guidance and leadership. We look forward to working with you in Pyeongchang and tapping into your many, many experiences as an athlete yourself, but certainly as the chef de mission for our efforts in Pyeongchang. Thank you, and it's just wonderful to have you here as well. I would be remiss if I didn't quickly identify Dwayne Golowichuk from our women's national team. Dwayne is in the room as well, as is Troy Ryan. We appreciate the support of the women's national team as well, and in this given year, the Olympic team. Wonderful to have your presence with us too. It's important to recognize a couple of things here. The adults that you'll hear representing us today in Pyeongchang are a derivative of the branches across this country. 13 branches that have outstanding leadership themselves, but a deep, deep, deep commitment to the growth and development of athletes in the sport. So I want to acknowledge the 13 branches across the country, as well as the minor hockey associations across this country. We all who have played this game came from somewhere, with adults leading the way and giving us every opportunity to enjoy, love, and pursue the game that we do, in fact, identify with here today. The volunteers across the country, Mark spoke of the 750 participants in the game. Times that by 2 and you have a volunteer base of about close to 2 million people that identify every single day with giving of themselves everything they possibly can to make sure that the experience of playing hockey for girls and boys is second to none. And we appreciate the volunteers across the country as well. And to the parents of these young men that you'll be identifying with today, we appreciate you as well. Because it's that type of guidance that allows every single one of these gentlemen to pursue excellence and help other children through these men identify with the pursuit of excellence first and foremost, but also the love of sport, the love of activity. No matter what the discipline, it's critical to identify with that. The Olympics are special. There's no two ways about it. They are very, very special, and you can ask anyone of any discipline that has participated for their country in the Olympic Games, and they will tell you that it's an honor, it's a privilege, and they will never, ever forget it, regardless of the outcome. That is certainly the case here today. I would be remiss if I didn't suggest for a second that the guidance and leadership from Scott Smith, the same with Scott Salmon, The same with Sean Burke, and the same with Will Desjardins has been second to none. This has been a moving target. We've done everything we possibly can to make sure that we're able to focus on one identity and one identity only, and that is to put Canada's men's Olympic team on the ice, representative of Canada, representative of Canadians across this country. These gentlemen made every single effort they possibly could to make sure that that could happen amidst tremendous turmoil out there, and nothing close to that internally. So on behalf of Hockey Canada, as I mentioned earlier, Joe, our board of directors, I want to thank you, gentlemen. And I want to thank Scotty, your staff, as well, for everything that they've done to make this day possible. And I'm looking forward to the announcement, like anybody else across the country is. This is an exciting day for all of us. Thank you.
Thanks, Tom. Veuillez maintenant accueillir le chef de la direction et secrétaire général du COC. We'll now welcome COC's Chief Executive Officer and Secretary General, Chris O'Rourke.
Well, good morning, everyone, and bonjour tout le monde. It is a tremendous pleasure to be here on behalf of Tricia Smith, Chair of our Board of Directors, and all of those of us who hold the Canadian Olympic movement and our athletes and coaches so dear. Il me fait grand plaisir d'être ici avec vous ce matin à la Calgary à l'association de cette annonce très attendue partout au pays. I know everyone is looking forward to meeting the team that will represent Canada in Pyeongchang. And on behalf of the Canadian Olympic Committee, I would like to take a moment to thank all of those who have put tireless hours, I know, into preparing for this announcement and the 2018 Winter Olympic Games. Under the leadership and guidance of CEO Tom Rennie and President and COO Scott Smith, Hockey Canada has once again left no stone unturned in putting this talented group of players together, along with team architects Sean Burke, Martin Brodeur, and Scott Salmon. Canada has participated in men's ice hockey at the Olympics since it was introduced almost a century ago in Antwerp in 1920. Over the span of those Olympic tournaments, a variety of players from all walks of life and every corner of Canada have represented our proud nation. The spirit behind those teams is at the heart of what hockey has long meant to our country. One of the unique things about this year's team is that each player will be experiencing a series of firsts. Playing in the Olympics, living in the Olympic Village, competing in a life-changing global sporting event where they have the chance to make sporting history. Certainly one of my best Olympic memories in the time that I've been involved was 4 years ago in Sochi, watching both our men's and women's team battle to win gold. Canada has taken the gold in hockey at 3 of the past 4 Winter Games, but every player wearing the Maple Leaf on their jersey has had more than the podium driving them. Le hockey est devenu un mode d'expression pour notre pays, un moyen par lequel ici, Canada, se connecte au reste du monde. As long as there is a puck, a fresh sheet of ice, and a nation behind them, our athletes play in honor of this great game and what it means to all Canadians. Fueled by the passion from coast to coast to coast, this team will soon take to ice looking to accomplish one thing above all else, to make Canada proud. I want to once again thank Tom and Scott and the entire Hockey Canada team for putting together a fantastic team. We're certainly looking forward to seeing you and celebrating with you in Korea. And I said it recently to Scott and Tom, indirectly through email recently, but honestly, gentlemen, and to all of those involved in Hockey Canada, I truly believe there's not a better organization in the world than this one. You really do a first-class job, and you do Canada proud every time. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Chris. I'll now invite Hockey Canada Vice President of Hockey Operations and National Teams, le Vice-Président des activités hockey et des équipes nationales, Scott Salmon.
Thanks very much, Mark, and thanks for being here today. This Olympic journey and to get to this point today really started 14 months ago with the Deutschland Cup. Since that time, we've had the opportunity to participate in 7 international competitions and evaluate over 100 Canadian players in a Hockey Canada jersey. Along the way, we've received a great deal of support and assistance, and today I want to make sure I thank some individuals and some organizations. So first, Chris, to you and the Canadian Olympic Committee, to your staff, Derek Covington and Jose Grandmat, thank you very much for helping us navigate the Olympic landscape. We're very much looking forward to standing together shoulder to shoulder in South Korea as a small part of a larger Canadian Olympic team. So thank you very much. To Own the Podium and to Ann Merklinger and Peter Judge for their support over the last 4 years of this quadrennial, for this year in particular, but maybe more importantly, for their support to our next-gen athletes and our next-gen programs, to the future Olympians that will participate and represent Canada in men's hockey. Thank you very much to Own the Podium. To the Montreal Canadiens and the Vancouver Canucks for their support of Sean Burke and Scott Walker and loaning us from their hockey operations, those individuals to help follow their Olympic dream and to help guide our Olympic team. So thank you very much to them. To the Calgary Flames, the Pittsburgh Penguins, the Ottawa Senators, and their staff in loaning players from their American Hockey League affiliates that will be named later here this morning. Thank you very much to those organizations and to the American Hockey League in general for their support in the release of players from their league. To our Hockey Canada staff and the people that don't sit at the front but they work from behind and do a tremendous amount of work, and I think of Kate Doyle and Bain Pettinger and the work they do behind the scenes in supporting our players and all of these tournaments, to Matt Sells and Tyler Dietrich and the support that they provide to Willie and the coaching staff and the hours they put in terms of video and analytics, to Rob McDonald in the back room working on ordering sticks as we speak for our Olympic team, and our equipment manager, and to Mark Holliday, who today is in front of the camera, and to Jeremy Brown, who's behind the camera since day one capturing this journey. Thank you very, very much to our hockey operations staff. We couldn't do it without you. To our hockey staff in general, to our staff at Hockey Canada, and many of them are here today. An Olympic year puts a lot of pressure on a lot of people, and we're fortunate that we get to stand in the front and we get to represent our national teams, but there's a lot of people that stand behind us. And I want to, on behalf of the men's and the women's team, thank all of our staff at Hockey Canada for the tremendous amount of work that they do in supporting our teams. So thank you very much to them. And finally, to a very good friend of mine, the general manager of Canada's men's Olympic team, a two-time Olympian himself, someone who's worked on our management group since 2015, who's won 3 gold medals with us since that time, 1 at World Juniors, 2 at Men's Worlds, and a silver medal at Men's Worlds as well. Someone who's worked tirelessly. When we hired him a year ago, not knowing who was going to represent Canada at the 2018 Olympic Games, Sean took the job as the Director of Player Personnel, managed our Deutschland Cup team, managed our Spengler Cup team, and when we found out that NHL players weren't going, Sean was hired as our General Manager and has not been in North America since. He's been in Russia, he's been in Sweden, he's been in Switzerland, he's been everywhere else. So I want to thank him and his wife and family because he's been gone a lot and he's done a tremendous amount of work for us, and he's a huge asset to us. And as much as today is about the players and about our staff, I really think this is Sean Burke's day. And congratulations to you, Sean, and thank you very much on behalf of Hockey Canada.
Well, I wasn't expecting that. I could throw my notes out now. I first of all want to again thank Hockey Canada for this opportunity. Tom Rennie, Scott Smith, Scott Salmon, of course. You know, when I took this job, you know, we had 14 months ahead of us, and it seemed like a long time, and we're 17 days from training camp. I have to thank him for the geography lesson as well, and the air miles. I apologize I can't do this in French, but I could probably do it in Russian, so bear with me. But it's been a great process, and Chris mentioned Hockey Canada, what a class organization it is. We've had an opportunity to evaluate our players because of the resources that they've provided. You know, we've been able to travel, we've been able to watch games, we've been able to give a lot of players across Canada an opportunity to make this team. What I feel best about is that we've seen our players numerous times. We've seen all our players. I don't think we can sit here today and say we missed anybody. Everybody was given an opportunity because Hockey Canada decided to do it that way, and that made our job easier, more enjoyable, and I think for our players, these guys that are going to be named here today, they earned it because we saw them play, we had numerous events, and every one of them represented our jersey like we expect Canadians to do. I need to thank all the players, the guys who aren't going to be named to this team today. Those players pushed the guys that didn't make the team. And as Sammy mentioned, we played 7 events, and I can say that out of those 7 events, there wasn't one tournament that we were disappointed in our effort. Yeah, the results weren't always there, but the effort, the pride that our guys put in our jersey, it's evident that when we go to these Olympics, this team will play, make Canada proud. There will be a gold medal effort, and there won't be one guy that puts that jersey on that this isn't the highlight of their hockey career and the highlight of their family's career. So I want to start by just maybe saying that the toughest part of this job for me has been the phone calls. And the phone calls we made yesterday to the players who made the team were incredible. We had families crying. We had players crying. We had us crying. It was so emotional to hear just the relief on a lot of players, but also the hard work that they've put in to reach this point, and knowing now that they're going to get to represent Canada in the Olympics. But then there was the other side of it. There were the calls made to the guys who didn't make the team. And the disappointment in those voices was not easy. But I got to say that the class that everybody handled this with was incredible. And it just speaks again volumes of the type of players that we're going to have representing our country. So I don't want that to go unmentioned, that this is a 25-man roster, but we saw over 100 players. And every one of those other players has had a part in these guys making the team. And we genuinely saw that and genuinely believe that. There was a lot of tough decisions, but I feel we've done a great job of getting to this point. And a lot of the credit has to go to our coaching staff. You know, if there's one thing that I think we all know about coaches, that they're all the same in the sense they really just want to win. That's all they want to do is win. And our coaching staff is no different. But this was a unique year led by Willie Desjardins, who is one of the most competitive people I've ever met. And these coaches this year had to do a job of bringing teams together, obviously trying to win and represent our country, but also give us an opportunity to evaluate our players. And that's not easy when you're coaching. Because again, when you're down to 2 minutes in a hockey game and you're in a 1-goal game, coaches think about one thing, winning. And we asked them to think outside the box so that we had an opportunity to evaluate all our players and that every player got a fair chance to make this team. And again, those decisions are tough, but I feel we've reached this point. At the end of the day, these 25 men that are going to represent us are the right players. They've earned this spot. They're proud to be representing their country, and we're very proud of them because I feel that when we get to Pyeongchang, this team is going to make a lot of people proud. And I think Canadians across the country are going to get behind this team. There's some incredible stories. There's guys that have had adversity through all phases of their career that now, through all the hard work, are going to put that jersey on in the Olympics and never dreamed that that was going to happen. So the last thing I'd like to do is just mention, Sammy did it. He did an incredible job of thanking everybody. I don't think he left anybody out, so I'm not going to go through it all again. But the whole Hockey Canada staff, Bain, Kate, Tyler, Matt, they're all there. These guys have been with us, beside us all the way, are going to be with us in Pyeongchang. As tight as our team is, our management, our coaching group, and our whole Hockey Canada staff is that tight as well. And that's going to give us, I think, an advantage over all the other countries. So to introduce our team, Jeremy Brown has been with us documenting a lot of stuff this year, a lot of which he can't show, has put together a great video tribute of who these players are. And so here's our 2018 men's Olympic hockey team.
Live Ontario, Kern High, and the DVL.
Kevin Poulin, Montréal, Zagreb, Medveshchuk.
Ben Scrivens, Spruce Grove, Alberta, Salavat Ulev, Ufa, in the KHL.
Stephen Elliott, North Vancouver, HV71, SHL. Che Genoway, Morton, Manitoba, Lada Toliati, KHL.
Cody Golda, Oakville, Ontario, Stockton Heat, American Hockey League.
Marc-Andre de Bizarre, Quebec, Dynamo Minsk, KHL.
Chris Lee, MacTier, Ontario, Metalurg Magnitogorsk, KHL.
Maxime Nareau, Montreal, Quebec, SC Bern, National League in Switzerland.
Matt Robinson, Calgary, Alberta, CSKA, KHL.
Carl Stollery, Armina, Alberta, Dynamo Riga, KHL.
Rennie Bork, Blacklebush, Alberta, Djurgården, Swedish Hockey League.
Gilbert Brulé, North Vancouver, British Columbia, Kunlun Red Star, the KHL.
Andrew Evitt, Vernon, BC, SC Bern, Swiss National League.
Quentin Howden, Oakbank, Manitoba, Dynamo Minsk, KHL.
Chris Kelly, Toronto, Ontario.
Rob Encounter, Lethbridge, Alberta, Akbars Kazan, the KHL.
Brandon Cozen, Calgary, Alberta, Hockey Club Locomotive, KHL.
Maxime Lapierre, Brassard, Quebec, Hockey Club Lugano.
Eric Odell, Ottawa, Ontario, HC Sochi, KHL.
Mason Raymond, Cochrane, Alberta, SC Bern.
Derek Roy, Rockland, Ontario, LHC Linchopen, SHL.
Christian Thomas, Toronto, Ontario, Wilkes-Barre, Scranton, Penguins.
Lyndon Vey, Waka, Saskatchewan, Astana Berries, KHL.
Wojtek Wolski, Toronto, Ontario, Kunlun Red Star, KHL.
Thanks, Sean, and congratulations to the players named to Canada's Olympic men's hockey team. I'll now ask Chris Overholt and Isabelle Charette to come forward to present head coach Willie Desjardins with the team jacket.
Thanks, everyone. It's so exciting when you get to see those players. Like, it's amazing. And I guess I get to thank everyone on part of those players as well. So I've got a few things, and most of it's stories about things that have happened along the way, which have been interesting. First to Hockey Canada, and Berkey did a great job, and thanking them, but their commitment to excellence and to detail is next to none. And Tom Rennie and Scott Smith, Scott Salmon, Sean Burke, and Martin Brodeur, they've been amazing for us to work with as coaches, you know, the equipment managers, the trainers, and the doctors. All of us thank them. You know, and it's not just us, but it's families as well. But they're, you know, we look at all we've gone through and everything that's been done to give us a chance to win. It's next to none. Their attention it's so good on everything, and it amazes me. And you know, and everybody thinks it's been a smooth ride, but it hasn't been smooth. It always looks smooth on the outside, but on the inside it doesn't go that way. And I'll tell you a story about Scott Salmon and Sean Burke. So we went to the Crawley Cup. We were gone for, I don't know, they were probably gone 10 days. They were probably in Europe for another 10 before that. But Crawley Cup was a tough turn. We didn't quite get the results. But as soon as it's over, they're off again. And they're off to Riga, Latvia. They're in there. And next day they're on the plane to go to Bratislava. Finish that one. They jump out. They just get hot dogs for supper. They don't even get to the rink on time. They're off to Stockholm. They get to Stockholm. They're on the train to go to Linköping to watch Elliot and Roy. And I guess on Thursdays, out of Stockholm, a lot of the workers go home. They go to the small towns, so they get on the train, they got all their luggage, train's full, so they're standing for 3 hours. Middle of nowhere, the train breaks down, standing on the platform with their equipment or with their luggage. They get off, they get another train finally comes in, they ride all the way back standing. You get to the game again just in time to carry all their luggage to the game, can't check in. So a lot of that happens, and it's not just with management, it's with players as well. And all our players, at somewhere along the line, they've been told no, like they're not going to get a chance to continue their NHL career or even start it in some way. But a lot like other Canadians, they've managed to battle and fight back. They've stuck with it. They won't give up, and I think that's in the nature of Canadians. Like, we've all had adversity, and it's how you handle it. And these guys they're incredible. They stayed with it, and their drive, like lots of players are playing just to play on this team. And it says so much for them as people and individuals. And I look at them. I look at Brandon Kozin. Kozin came in. He was a top 5 player last 2 years in the KHL, a leading guy. We thought for sure he'd be on the team, and he comes in and things don't go well the first term. He's supposed to be a scorer. And he's not scoring, and that's not good for a scorer. And so what does he do? He finds another way to make the team. The last tournament, he worked so hard. He worked so hard. We had to name him just because of how hard he worked. Just because he wouldn't accept not making it. He had to find a way to make it. He hit guys like Cozy's about 5'5". He hit everybody. And he was on the ice 10 times. Like, it was amazing. But he just wanted to make this team. Mason Raymond's playing because of that. He's over in Europe. Like, he was so tight before every game because this was what he wanted. He just wanted to play. Like, he'll play better now that he was just so worked up about making it. And there's great stories, and it's about the families too. Like it's not just the players. Like, there's families that have been with these guys, and it's funny when Tom talked about the minor hockey. Like, I was sitting there and I'm thinking back to Climax, Saskatchewan, sitting in a dressing room with the old wooden benches and nothing like that. Like, to be here, to be at this point, it just isn't possible. Like, it just doesn't happen. And for all of these guys, they think the same. It's such an honor for us, and they're so excited about it. And just a couple of stories that have come out of that. So, when we were announcing that they're phoning guys to the team, like, we weren't phoning it wasn't just about us, it was about families too. So we had Steve Thomas phone his son, Christian Thomas. And Steve, a great NHL player, like he's a battler, a winner, like what a warrior. He was so excited to tell his son he made the Olympic team. He was so excited. Could be as excited as he was in his career, I'm sure. And for his son to hear, like, it was so emotional. And it was an incredible story. It was to see that happen. You see a guy like Wojtek Wolski. A year ago today, he had a serious neck injury. Thought his career was over. A year ago. And you see his picture in the hospital bed with the neck brace on. And he said, he looked at that photo last night, and after being named to the team, he just cried. To get that chance, to get that honor to come back. And that's what our team's about. It's about guys that have received a no, but found a way to make a yes. And their determination, their heart is incredible. And for me, when I look at the bigger picture, I've had a chance to stand and represent Canada, as hockey, but I've never had the chance to be part of the hopes and dreams of other Olympians and Canadian athletes, and that is so special. And this program, it's amazing, and we look forward to it, and we hope that the other athletes will share our hopes and dreams as well. And then just in closing, to me, one of the biggest moments for me was when I was in Ottawa, and I saw the Canadian flag in the stands, the huge flag going across the stands, and it represented our country. All the guys, you see where they were all from with their names. It's all across Canada. It's not one part of Canada. It's all Canada. And we have a great country, and I'm so proud to be part of it and part of this program. So to everybody, and on behalf of our players and other coaches, just want to say thanks for everybody, and we look forward to the Olympics, and you'll get it all. Thank you.
Thanks, Willie. This concludes the formal portion of our press conference.